Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. Coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody who is here in our program tonight, and thank you for joining us here. We appreciate it. Before I get started, I want everyone to please give us a thumbs up if you enjoy this program and you enjoy what we're talking about. That's number one. Also, please don't hesitate to stay in this program from beginning to end. The longer people watch this program, any given program, the greater chance that YouTube is going to feel obligated to let everybody else on YouTube know about this program. Right now, we are being suppressed heavily. We sometimes have no more than 300 people that are viewers of this program by the time we finish. No more than 324 sometimes. It's bad. We went from 3,000 every night to now anywhere between 300 to 500 every night, period. Sometimes, most of the time, it's less than 500, a lot less than 500, closer to 325, 300, 350, in that range. So please, folks, pay attention to what we're saying. Please stay here with our program. Now, I'm going to dispense with the national anthem tonight because we're on the air so late. I want to say this, though. We have a lot of things we need to talk about, a lot of things that we need to discuss. First off, there was an earthquake over in Indonesia, Sulawesi, Indonesia. This was a very strong 6.0 earthquake. 6.0 earthquake in central Indonesia. Sulawesi, Indonesia was a 6.0. This earthquake was 6.9 kilometers deep. A very shallow earthquake. Notice all the other earthquakes in this region. Going up into the Philippines. USGS has these. This is the EMSC map, but USGS doesn't even have most of these earthquakes even listed. 4 earthquakes located on the My Apps application that you're seeing here that's put out by the EMSC. 4 earthquakes. 1 north of Luzon, Philippines, 1 to the southwest of Luzon, Philippines, 2 up off the northeast side of Mindanao, Philippines. These are aftershocks from an 8.4 earthquake that hit here about 5 months ago. If you remember us talking about it, it happened. Okay? Also, over to the lower left or lower right hand side of your screen, Papua, Indonesia also had another 4 earthquake there. To the south, just south of Bali, Indonesia, south of Java, Indonesia, another 4.3 earthquake there. Earthquakes all over this region. 18 earthquakes in Indonesia today. More earthquakes over into New Zealand as well. Over into the Kermadec Islands and over into the North Island of New Zealand. Now, why? Because, folks, we've had a lot of sunspots. We've had a lot of coronal mass ejections. That's why we're getting hit with so many earthquakes. All over Europe, we're seeing earthquakes. Literally all over Europe. This is not stopping. All over California, Northern California, Central California, and down into Southern California. Southern Mexico, Central America, down into South America as well. We've had large earthquakes all over South America this week. I shouldn't say this week, this past weekend. 5.0, 5.3 earthquakes down along the coastline of South America, going over into Argentina as well. Now, folks, that is because the CMEs are sent and are hitting the earth. These CMEs are heating up the plates. Heating up the plates and causing all that gunk and grime that usually holds those plates in place, causing all that dirt, all the gravel, all the rock, all the biological material to heat up, causing it to be an oily, greasy substance, allowing the plates to more freely move. That's what's going on. That's exactly what's going on. Now, I want everybody to realize this. We are going to see more and more earthquakes here. No doubt. I believe we're going to see more earthquakes in Indonesia. We're going to see more earthquakes in the Philippines. We're going to see more earthquakes around Guam, in the Mariana Trench area. We're going to see more earthquakes over in Japan. Today, just southeast of Tokyo, Japan, we had another 5.3 earthquake there. Now, let me try to bring up the USGS map. It's not been cooperating with me most of the morning. Okay? This is showing the United States of America. Let me get out of this, lose my face there and lose this banner here. I want to go over into the international map here. I want to show this earthquake off of Tokyo. Okay, this is actually in the Izu Islands of Japan. This is now a 5.6 earthquake. It came out as a 5.3, upgraded to a 5.8, and now is a 5.6 earthquake. This is not anywhere near Tokyo. I want to make that very clear. This is out in the southeast Izu Islands of Japan. It did not affect Tokyo. This earthquake was far from Tokyo, probably about 250, 300 miles off the coast of Tokyo, southeast of Tokyo. Again, a 5.6 earthquake. This earthquake was, again, a very shallow quake, 11.7 kilometers deep. 11.7 kilometers deep, just about 7 miles deep. A new earthquake that just happened off the southern coast of Japan here. This is near Koshima, Japan, off the coast of Japan. A 4.6 earthquake here. This is 62 kilometers, 50 miles southeast of Koshima, Japan. Again, this is a very shallow quake, 38 kilometers deep. Okay, off of Hokkaido, the northeast end of Japan. This is another 4.5 earthquake here, 42 kilometers southeast of Kusyo, Kurils, Russia. Why are they calling it Kurils, Russia? See these islands north of Hokkaido? These are called the Kuril Islands. These belong to Russia. These islands belong to Russia. This has nothing to do with Hokkaido, Japan. These are over here just north of Hokkaido as well. This has nothing to do with Hokkaido. No lives are in danger here. Okay? That's what we have to report. Again, this big earthquake over here in Indonesia. USGS is showing this as a 6.0. It came in slightly higher than that. Now, I have not had time to go into the back seismologist study page to find out how strong this earthquake really was. However, I believe it was probably 3 points higher than what they've got it as. Okay? They're also not showing all the other earthquakes here in Indonesia. They rarely do. They are not honest at all. Period. They're just not. Let's go over here to New Zealand. USGS and Earthquake Tracker have been reporting earthquakes over here in the Kermadec Islands. This is a 5.1 large earthquake south of the Kermadec Islands. The Kermadec Islands are unoccupied islands. The only thing that are on those islands are birds. It's a bird sanctuary. This is south of the Kermadec Islands. Nobody lives there except the birds. One other earthquake just north of the Bay of Plenty, over here in New Zealand, a 4.3 earthquake here. Northwest of Hicks Bay, Bay of Plenty, New Zealand. 128 kilometers northwest of Hicks Bay. This is 200 kilometers deep. This is still considered to be rather shallow quake. Deep quakes are anywhere in the vicinity of 550 to 700 kilometers deep. Those are deep quakes. This is not. This is a moderately deep quake, at best. Okay? 4.3 earthquake over here just north of the Bay of Plenty in New Zealand. There are other earthquakes also here in New Zealand. over on the North and the South Island. Most of the earthquakes are around the Bay of Plenty, on the northeast side of the big island, the main island of New Zealand here, the North Island, Raoul Island, and fewer earthquakes over here on the South Island. But still, we have probably 18 to 20 earthquakes here today. I counted them earlier, there was 18. Now there may be less because they get taken down. But still, New Zealand is an active area. The people in New Zealand have felt tremors beneath their feet. They may have had pictures knocked off walls. Their glasses and tumblers, their dishes and pots and pans rattling in the cupboards. That's because those earthquakes were moderate earthquakes, 4.0, 4.9 earthquakes. Okay? Over here in South America today, I still want to report earthquake here. This is a 5.0 aftershock. A 5.0 aftershock from yesterday's 6.0. I believe it was 6.0 earthquake here in Argentina yesterday. Now, I'm going to zoom in here. I want to give you a good idea what happened here. Okay? This earthquake is south of where that earthquake yesterday hit. That earthquake yesterday hit right here. Okay? Nobody lives here. Nobody lives here. Now, this was a very strong earthquake, but nobody lives in this area. Now, it did rattle people's nerves. Okay? It did rattle people's nerves. There are communities over here to the southeast. For example, right over in here. Farming communities. This is the pampas, the farmland and ranchland of Argentina. Some people felt this earthquake. They may have sustained some damage. But this area is far from that earthquake. And it's still far enough away from this 5.0 that hit today. This earthquake hit at approximately 20:58 hours. That is 8:58 p.m. That's just about 40 minutes ago. This is an aftershock of that earthquake from yesterday. Yes, it is south of there, but this is an aftershock from yesterday's earthquake. Now, over along the coast of Chile, I want to give you a warning. This is not the only earthquake over here in Chile. There are 18 earthquakes here in South America. Most of those earthquakes are up in the northern area up here in northern Chile. Most of these earthquakes are also in the Andes Mountains, the higher elevations of the Andes Mountains. This is also the edge of the plate, the edge of the tectonic plate here in western South America. Okay, that is why they're getting these earthquakes. Tarapacá, Chile, for example. Tarapacá, Chile is this area right here. Tarapacá, Chile is a province of northern Chile. Okay, there's one other place, I don't remember the province, that's just south and east of there. This area is a very common place to have earthquakes. Most of the earthquakes here in South America happen right here. Some earthquakes happen over in Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia. The majority of the earthquakes happen right here. Now, while there are other earthquakes over here in central Chile, that's true. 5 or 6 earthquakes usually happen here in central Chile. Along the coast or out to sea, earthquakes happen here. That's normal. The earthquakes that happen over here in Tarapacá, Chile, over in Coquimbo, Chile, were 5.0 and 5.1 earthquakes yesterday. About 10 years ago, Coquimbo, Chile had an 8.0 earthquake. An 8.0 major earthquake. It rattled nerves, it destroyed property, and killed about 10,000 people. This area is an earthquake trap. It's an earthquake trap, literally. Okay? I want to make that point perfectly clear. It's a very dangerous area of earthquake activity. And of course, the USPS is not telling us how many earthquakes hit over here in South America. It's a sad state of affairs. USPS is only telling us of one earthquake over here in Central America. San Jose, Guatemala, Central America. This is just a moderate 4.1 earthquake, 23 kilometers deep. Go figure. There are 19 earthquakes here in Central America today. There have been 19 earthquakes here, and yet USGS reports one? What kind of crap is that? There have been 23 earthquakes here in southern Mexico. Southern Mexico between Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, which is right here. Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and southern Mexico over at the Guatemala-Mexican border right here. Why is USGS avoiding telling us about these earthquakes? Inquiring minds want to know. They just don't tell us. They have no intention of being honest with us at all. They're not going to tell us at all. Why not? I want to show you one other earthquake over here in Falls City, Texas. This is a 3.4 small earthquake. Falls City, Texas has earthquakes here all the time. Most of those were 0.1, 0.5, 0.7 tremors. Then about 2 months ago, there was a 5.1 earthquake here. There have been several 5.1, 5.0 earthquakes here since. This earthquake today, a 3.4 small earthquake near Falls City, Texas, it's an aftershock. It's an aftershock. And we may see aftershocks here for the next few months. Everybody needs to understand that. Over in southwestern Texas, all of these earthquakes are oil and gas earthquakes, just like this earthquake in Falls City, Texas was. It's an oil and gas fracking earthquake. That happens. Toyota, Texas, this is 58 kilometers west-northwest of Toyota, Texas. This is 11 kilometers north of Toyota, Texas. This is Lindsay, Texas, a 1.6 tremor here. We go north. Ackerley, Texas. Why are we having earthquakes here in Ackerley, Texas? Because 2 weeks ago we had another 5.1 earthquake here, a fracking earthquake. A fracking earthquake. This is not the only earthquake here in Ackerley, Texas today. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. This earthquake is 8.5 kilometers deep. This is a fracking earthquake. And you can see the oil and gas platforms all over this area. These oil and gas platforms drill straight down, they drill perpendicular, and they drill horizontal to the surface of the earth. The seismic energy comes along and fractures rock in the hole that they drilled out to pump out oil and gas. That fracturing rock causes the earth to move, otherwise known as earth movement earthquakes. That's what's going on here. This is a 3.0. This is a 1.2 tremor. Okay? Now, there are other earthquakes here as well. This is Hermleigh, Texas. Hermleigh, Texas has also had another 5.0 earthquake here several months ago. You can go back through our programs because we talked about it. We talked about it. Further northeast, this is Katy, Texas, or Katy, Oklahoma. Katy, Oklahoma, they say this is a quarry blast. Really? Let's go take a look at this supposed quarry blast. I just love doing this. I get the biggest charge out of it. Now, why am I talking about this? Because this very well may be a quarry blast. This is probably within, I want to say, 50 meters, 150 feet from this quarry. Okay? This may be a quarry blast. Okay? If this is a quarry blast, this may be one of 3 quarry blasts that USGS has gotten right. Rarely do they ever get these earthquakes and tremors right, and they're rarely within or near a quarry. Okay? Further north. This is Washington, Oklahoma here. Washington, Oklahoma. Again, Oklahoma has 586,000 pumps and jacks. 586,000 pumps and jacks. Folks, guess what this is? This is another oil and gas earthquake swarm here, or shall I call a cache. Earthquake swarms are larger swarms of quakes. This is not. This is more like a cache. This is a 1.2 tremor here. This is a 1.0 tremor. This is a 1.6 tremor. And this is a 1.5. Now you see these oil and gas pumping operations all over this map here. These earthquakes are well within 4 to 5 miles away from any one of these pump and jack operations. For example, this one here. How close is this? How close is this? Maybe a quarter of a mile? A quarter of a mile away from this pump and jack here? Interesting. Interesting. But these are fracking earthquakes. Fracking earthquakes. You can see what I'm saying. Okay? Now, I'm going to back out here. USGS is not reporting any other earthquakes in the United States, but guess what? They're full of crap. Yes, there are earthquakes here in California. A lot of earthquakes here in California. I'm not going to get into that tonight. There are earthquakes over here. Guess what this is? Around Puerto Rico. Over here in southwestern Puerto Rico, these are aftershocks of 2 major earthquakes that happened here on December 26th and December 28th, 2019. These are aftershocks. This earthquake here at 2.2 near Guanilla, Puerto Rico. This is a 2.6 minor earthquake here. Indios, Puerto Rico. Right next to it, this is a 2.6 near Maria Antonia, Puerto Rico. Southwest of this. This is Porguera, Puerto Rico here. Another 2.2. This earthquake right here happened yesterday. This earthquake happened at 21:42 hours, 9:42 p.m. yesterday. They are just about ready to drop this earthquake. All of these earthquakes here off the southwestern coast of Puerto Rico are aftershocks of those 2 major earthquakes that happened here 4 years ago. Okay? One earthquake over here in north central Puerto Rico that has nothing to do with those earthquakes. This is a 2.1 earthquake. Corazon, Puerto Rico. Out east of Puerto Rico here. This is a 3.0 small earthquake. Southeast of Esperanza, Puerto Rico. Southeast. This is an island off the southeast coast of Puerto Rico. This is out over here in the ocean. Okay? Now there's more earthquakes than that. Look at this earthquake here in the Caribbean. This is south of St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. Southwest of St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. 14 kilometers southwest. This is only a 3.3 small earthquake. Because this earthquake was out in the ocean. A small earthquake. Nobody even felt this earthquake anywhere near St. Croix. Nobody. Because the ocean waters absorbed the shock waves of this quake, and it was only a small quake. Now north of Puerto Rico over here. North of Puerto Rico here. This is something different. Okay? USGS just shut my earthquake feed down, and if you'll just give me a second, I will bring it right back up. They often do this when I'm talking about earthquakes because they don't like me talking about it, making them look like stupid idiots, because they are. They're being run by an evil government. The government does not want us talking about these earthquakes. They do this frequently to try to stop us. Now I brought it right back up. Let's go right back here to Puerto Rico. Okay, see this red earthquake fault here? I've talked about this fault before. This fault originates over near Guatemala, right over here. This is called the Cayman Ridge. It is an earthquake trough or an earthquake trench out here in the Caribbean Ocean. Notice it goes west, goes east of Guatemala. It goes east of Guatemala. Now, this earthquake trench is called the Cayman Ridge, named after the Cayman Islands. Named after the Cayman Islands. This Cayman Ridge goes out here into the Caribbean. Then it goes north. North about, I want to say, 100 miles north. Then it turns almost directly east, just south of the Cayman Islands here. Then it goes north, it goes north of Jamaica, and it skirts the southern area of Cuba. It continues eastbound, east of the Dominican Republic and north of Puerto Rico. It skirts over here in the Caribbean here in the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. It continues south here. This earthquake is in Guadalupe, what they may call Guadeloupe. Each and every one of these islands, and most of the islands anywhere else in the world, are volcanic in origin. Guadeloupe is one of those other islands here that is a volcanic island. This earthquake is a 4.4 earthquake. A 4.4 earthquake here. This may be a volcanic earthquake. This also could be an earthquake caused by what? The Cayman Ridge. Because the Cayman Ridge also goes just around the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and then it takes almost a direct southerly turn just on the outer side of the outlying islands here. Guadeloupe, St. Martin, and others. It continues south here, all the way down until it reaches South America. Then it suddenly turns west. Suddenly turns west into Venezuela. Then it skirts to the south of Grenada, and it continues its westward trek over towards Colombia, the Cayman Ridge. That's why we're seeing earthquakes here. The Cayman Ridge has dropped these earthquakes. This earthquake in Guadeloupe may be responsible for, or the Cayman Ridge may be responsible for this earthquake near Guadeloupe, but again, that may be a volcanic quake. But these earthquakes north of Puerto Rico, this is a 3.3 small earthquake here. North of Brenes, Puerto Rico, this is a Cayman Ridge earthquake. This earthquake to the west, this is northwest of San Antonio, Puerto Rico. Another 3.4 earthquake, dropped by the Cayman Ridge. This earthquake over here in the Mona Strait. The Mona Strait is a body of water between the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. This is a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. Why do I call it a 3.0 earthquake? Because USGS continues to undermine the earthquakes anywhere around the world. They downgrade them to the nearest 0.9. That's what happened with this earthquake. This is a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. It may be even larger than that. Now, Becky, NCWQ Disasters and Earthquake Explorer. She has frequently caught this happening. She's an expert when it comes to earthquakes as well. She spent a great deal of time studying earthquakes. She's seen this happen time and time again, just like I have. Okay? That's happening. Now, why would it continue? Because the USGS is being manned by people from the government. And the government does not want us to know what's going on. They just don't. One of the largest earthquakes today is over here in the Greenland Sea. This is a 5.0 earthquake northwest of Norway. Northwest of Norway, and it's north of Svalbard. North of Svalbard. Yes, we've had a lot of earthquake activity over here in the southern and north central mid-Atlantic area. This energy has crept north through Iceland here and all the way up here. This is another 5.0 earthquake on the North Mid-Atlantic Fault. The North Mid-Atlantic Fault. A 5.0 large earthquake here today. Okay? This happened at 1:08 a.m. this morning, Eastern Time. Now, while they're not showing other earthquakes here in Europe, there are earthquakes here in Spain. The earthquake southwest of Portugal, out here in the Azore Islands, and over here in the Canary Islands to the south off the western coast of Africa. Earthquakes there. USGS is not showing any of them. There are earthquakes here in France, Germany, and Switzerland. There are 30 earthquakes here in Italy. Earthquakes in Croatia. Earthquakes out here in Romania and Slovenia. Why are they not showing them? There are earthquakes here in Greece. Why are they not showing those earthquakes? There are earthquakes over here in the islands of Greece. Okay, the Dokanese Islands just west of Turkey, and over here near Crete. Nobody's showing those either. They're not showing any earthquakes in Turkey. There are plenty of them. Over here near the Turkey-Syria border region here, 30 earthquakes here today. 30 earthquakes. This is as a result of a major earthquake that happened here February 3rd last year. An 8.0, 9.0, and I want to say it wasn't even an 8.0, it was at least a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. 5,000 people killed. Over 5,000 people injured on both sides of the Turkey-Syria border region. Why is USGS not reporting these earthquakes? Heaven forbid they report what's happening. They don't want anybody to know what's going to happen when these earthquakes hit. Aftershocks are going to hit here for years. Years and years after the major quake. Years and years after the major quake. They're not reporting any earthquakes here in Iran, Iraq. Why not? Why not? There are plenty of earthquakes here. They're not reporting any of them. They're showing one earthquake over here in Kuka, China. Kuqa, China. A 4.5 earthquake just south of Russia. A moderate 4.5 earthquake just south of Russia. And that's all they're reporting. Nothing else. Why? Why? Now, I want to tell you something before I take this map down. There are plenty of earthquakes over here in the United States. Plenty of them. There are plenty of earthquakes over here in Texas. Some of them I told you about. Plenty of earthquakes over on the east coast of the United States. They're not talking about those. There are plenty of earthquakes here in California. They're only talking about some of those. They're not reporting all the earthquakes there. They're not reporting all the earthquakes in Southern California, and they're not reporting even half of the earthquakes in the Pacific Northwest. Why? Why are they not doing it? Because USGS knows what's going on. USGS knows what's going on. There's going to be a major earthquake off the coast of Seattle-Tacoma area. We talked about it. It's called the Cascadia Megathrust earthquake. Another 9.0, 10.0 earthquake, and I believe it's going to happen within the next 5 years. USGS is not reporting much of anything today. They're not reporting much of anything that they can get away with not talking about. Okay? I'm just telling you. If you want to know the truth, come see me. Come see me. Come see one of my buddies, one of my best friends, Rob52 here in the chat. Rob52 is a great friend of mine. A great friend of mine. He's very knowledgeable about earthquakes as well. He might say he's not, but he knows quite a bit. He even talks to me about earthquakes that I haven't even seen yet, frequently. Now, NCWQ Becky also. Great people here. Very great people. But right now, off the coast of Seattle, Washington, Vancouver Island, and British Columbia, Canada, there are earthquakes. And USGS is not showing them much of anything. Nothing. They just took down my earthquake map here. I'm going to try to do something here. Oh, I got it back. I pulled a stunt they don't like. I got it back. Over here, I want to show you this. This is in Desert Air, Washington. Desert Air, Washington. Folks, they may call it Desert Air, but guess what it's near? They're showing one earthquake here. This is a 3.0 earthquake. This is the Hanford Nuclear Waste Facility. The Hanford Nuclear Waste Facility. Why is this important? Why is this important? Back about 25 years ago, Washington State had been told by the feds to get it cleaned up. There were more than just this kind of 3.0 earthquake happening. And I talked about Hanford last week. This is a nuclear waste facility. The nuclear waste was put on ore-type cars and rolled into the mountains surrounding Hanford. Okay? Rolled into the mountains just north of Hanford here. What is going on? Some of those containers fell over. Why? Because of earthquakes and faulty ore car tracks, similar to train tracks, small gauge train tracks. These containers fell over, leaking the nuclear waste, what should I say, liquid. That is essentially what it was, crud. It leaked into the ground. Now, what they don't want to tell you, is this. Look at these earthquakes all over this area. There just happens to be a river through here. It's called the Columbia River. They don't want to tell you that the Columbia River is contaminated with nuclear waste. The Columbia River is contaminated with radiation. I would not eat any fish out of this river if you paid me. I would not eat any fish out of this river if you paid me. Like I said, the radioactive materials has fallen onto the ground, fallen into the cave earth area, and the radioactive material has seeped into the groundwater, even over into the Columbia River. I blew the whistle on it. Before that, there were other whistleblowers that also blew the whistle on it. Washington State was given 20 years to clean it up. It's been over 2 decades. Just within the last 10 years, Washington State with Washington federal government have now signed an extension to the number of years that they have to clean it up. Right now, they signed an agreement until 2047. 2047. It's taken them over 2 decades so far, and they have not yet cleaned up the nuclear waste, let alone stop the waste that's already in the groundwater from over in these caves that they've dug in the mountains with that waste in the mountains. They haven't stopped it. They're not going to. There's no way they can. This is a terrible catastrophe. Look at all these earthquakes here. Now, most of these earthquakes are not 3.0 like this earthquake is. Most of these earthquakes are tremors. But look where they're at. Folks, when we get a lot of tremors, what does that usually mean? When we see a lot of tremors, what does this usually mean? When we see a group of tremors like this, swarms of earthquakes, it usually means there's going to be a large earthquake very soon. And that's what I believe is going to happen. That is exactly what I believe is going to happen. To the south, what does this look like to you? These are volcanic craters. These are volcanic craters. Eruptive events that happened thousands of years ago. Folks, it's continuing. There's going to continue to be volcanic activity all throughout this area. And Hanford is just a step away from being a very worldwide national catastrophe. A national catastrophe here in the United States and a worldwide catastrophe all over the earth. Because if this gets out into the atmosphere, and it could, if this waste gets out into the atmosphere, all it's going to take is a whirlwind, or straight line winds, or a tornado, or maybe even straight line winter storm, a blizzard, to spread this radioactivity all over the place, let alone this. Snowmelt. Snowmelt carrying this radioactivity down into the river, the Columbia River. It's not going to stop. It's literally not going to stop. I want to thank Rob52 for putting out our email address and also putting out our PayPal address. Folks, I'm going to stop with these earthquakes right now because I have other statements to make with proof of what's going on. But folks, this is serious. This is very serious, and we cannot let it go. Not now, not ever. I'm just telling you, not now, not ever. We cannot let it go. Now, why am I going to stop talking about it? I want to just briefly tell you what YouTube did to me this past weekend. You guys spend a lot of money sending me money on super chats. And while I really appreciate it, I want to show you something. Give me a second to pull this information up. You folks sent me $575.84 this past month. $575.84. That should have been what I got paid on September 21st. That should have been what I got paid on September 21st. However, guess what? It was not. I want to show you this. YouTube just got through paying me today $484.84. $418.84. That's all I got out of that nearly $600. That's all I got. It took them 3 days. It took them 3 days for them to get my money to me. Now, for 5.5 years, you guys have been sending me super chats, sending me money. And YouTube pays me usually on the 21st of every month. They didn't pay me on Friday. They did not pay me Saturday. They did not pay me Sunday. I filed a complaint with YouTube late last night about 1 o'clock this morning. YouTube told me after I filed that complaint that if I didn't get paid by the 26th to file another complaint. Well, guess what? At 1 p.m. today, I finally got the majority of my money. But YouTube kept 40% of it. YouTube kept 40% of my money that you hard-working people paid me. You hard-working family members paid me. It took YouTube 3 days to get it to me. 3 days. Why? Because they're greedy. The longer they hold on to the money, the more interest they get from holding on to my money. Was I the only creator that they did this to? I doubt it. Juby Joe is asking for memberships, not just memberships, super chats. $10 here, $20 there, $50 here, and $100 there. You folks paid me the money. And YouTube didn't pay me until today at 1 o'clock, 3 days later. 3 days later. Now, folks, it's fine to give us memberships. It's fine to join members on our chat, members of our family here, not just on the chat. Sometime tomorrow afternoon or by Wednesday afternoon at the latest, I'm going to do a members-only video for members. I've been talking now about it for about 3 weeks. Juby Joe says, so not memberships, not just memberships. Not just memberships. Super chats. Money that you guys send me through super chats. And some membership money as well. Canadian Patriot 1 says, sounds like corruption, my brother. Yes, it's corruption. YouTube is corrupt. I can prove it. But folks, what I'm asking you to do, if you will, send me money or donations to our post office box or through PayPal. PayPal, if you send it friends and family, they don't take anything out. If you send me donations through friends and family on PayPal, they take nothing out. I get all of your money. Okay? Or you can send it through the mail. Now, speaking of mail, I'm showing you at the bottom of our screen tonight our address, 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. Now, you can send it through the mail. I've only had one problem, well, actually 2 problems over the past nearly 6 years. No big deal. You can send me checks. I've also gotten cash. Now, you can send it through the mail to my post office box, and that's fine. Okay? I've had only 2 problems in nearly 6 years I've been doing this program. Now, I love you guys. You know that. I've shown you that over the years. I care about you. I'm trying to take care of you as well. Now, Aubrey is also sent it through Walmart. She sent me money through Walmart. I don't know how she does it, but she does it. And I've received money through Walmart. Aubrey sent it once a month at the beginning of the month, sometime within the first or second week of each month, and I appreciate that so much. Thank you, Aubrey, for your diligence in helping my wife and I with that money. It means a great deal to us. It keeps the lights on here. The money you send us keeps the lights on, keeps our program on the air. It keeps us paid up with our cable. Now, when it comes to money through our post office box, I just paid $101 for a post office box for 6 months. It costs a lot of money to keep our post office box open. I would ask you to help me by sending money through our post office box. And besides that, it's not just money. I love getting letters. My wife and I love getting cards and letters from each one of you. We do. We used to get 2 or 3 cards and letters every week. Some with donations, some with not, without any donations. We love that. We love hearing from you, finding out how you guys are preparing and keeping yourselves prepared for what is happening. Okay? We appreciate that. We love hearing from you. We love the cards that you sent us. We love the cards that you sent us. Even Hurricane Heather sent us a card. This is the envelope that she sent her card in. We love that. Heather, I want you to know how much you are loved by my wife and I. We love you to pieces. We've gotten cards and letters from many of you over the years. I have 2 boxes. One is over here in my closet. 1 box full of cards and letters that you sent me. I have not thrown away any letter or card that I've ever received from you guys. That's how much I appreciate you. 1 other box, maybe only a third full, right next to my desk. I keep that here as a reminder of the love that I have for each one of you and the love that you have for me. I love hearing from you. I love hearing, my wife and I love hearing from you and seeing what you're doing, not just to be prepared, but what you're doing in your life. We love hearing from you. We do. Rob has sent me letters, cards as well. Rob is one of my dearest friends, and yes, that's one of the reasons he does. I've even gotten a card, I believe, from Canadian Patriot 1. He's one of my dearest friends as well. I appreciate that. I've gotten a couple of cards and letters from my buddy, Don Patoka. Most of you know him as well. I even got a package from Demon Catman from the east of England. I believe I've also gotten a card from him as well. Folks, I love you guys. My wife and I do love you to pieces. Your friendship and love means the world to us. You are my family, our family, and I appreciate that so much. Now, something else I want to talk to you about. January 6, 2020. Never forget January 6. This is where the Democrat communists staged a riot. They imprisoned innocent citizens, and they murdered a patriot. They murdered a young girl from San Diego in the highlight of her life in her early 20s. They murdered her. The Democrat communists said that the riot caused 2 police officers to be killed. That is a lie. That is an out-and-out lie. The only person that lost her life was that young woman from San Diego. Nobody else got hurt. Even the Capitol Hill police opened the doors of the Capitol. Yes, 1 man broke through the window, and the woman that was killed by a federal police officer, Capitol Hill police officer, killed her as she went through the window. She was not armed. She was not armed, yet she was shot and killed. Go figure. Go figure. Why did that happen? It is against the law. I am a former federal law enforcement officer. It is against law enforcement law. It's against principles. It's against law enforcement protocol to shoot at an unarmed citizen. That young woman posed no problem to that federal police officer, and yet he shot and killed her. Now, the Capitol Hill police chief testified before Congress and testified to Tucker Carlson. It was not President Trump that caused it, number one. Number two, it was the Democrat communists. President Trump had told people that had gathered there to go home. Yes, they can protest, but he told them to keep it peaceful. The Democrat communists will tell you a different story, including Nancy Pelosi, one of the biggest trouble causers in the Democrat Communist Party. All to cover a fraudulent election. All to cover a fraudulent election. Tucker Carlson showed video, of which I even showed video 2 years ago, when Tucker Carlson first came out with it. I showed video of the Capitol Police escorting people around, letting people inside the Capitol building and escorting them around even to the Senate chambers. Well, one of the men who was jailed, he didn't do anything wrong. He even offered a prayer in the Senate chambers for peace. Yet he was thrown in jail. He did nothing wrong. Canadian Patriot is saying this in the chat. Pelosi was the author of January 6th. Canadian Patriot says he firmly believes it. I've seen the video. Now, President Trump, prior to this thing even getting on, President Trump asked for the National Guard to be brought in. President Trump asked for the National Guard to be brought in. The Pentagon refused his request. Why did the Pentagon refuse his request? Because the Pentagon was in cahoots with the Democrat Communist Party. Goes a step further. The Capitol Hill police chief asked for coverage from the National Guard. That request had to go through the Sergeant at Arms of the U.S. Congress, the House of Representatives, of which Pelosi was a head. So the Sergeant at Arms had to go to Pelosi for permission to get the National Guard to come and help the Capitol Hill Police. The police chief told the Sergeant at Arms he and his people were getting their butts handed to him, that they needed backup. Nancy Pelosi turned them down. Nancy Pelosi and the Pentagon turned the request for National Guard troops down. And yet, National Guard troops were already on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. over in Maryland, getting ready to set up and go into Washington. But Nancy Pelosi said, and I can almost quote it, it's not a direct quote, but it's very close to it. She said it doesn't hold the camera. It doesn't hold the camera, what we want to project as a free Capitol Hill. So we don't need to see military people on the Capitol. So she turned them down. Nancy Pelosi is responsible, and Chuck Schumer and the entire Democrat Communist Party is responsible for everything that happened on January 6th, including keeping at least 200 citizens behind bars. Those citizens did not do a thing. The FBI came to Salt Lake City. Two friends of mine that have a YouTube channel where they broadcast twice a week. They stage their programs on Friday and Monday. The FBI believed them to be responsible in having gone to Washington, D.C., but they did not. My friends on YouTube, they broadcast their skills and experiences building their own home in the mountains of Salt Lake City, east of Salt Lake City. Yet the FBI tried to get them involved in the riot at the Capitol Hill. They had nothing to do with it. And it was proven. But they even went after friends of mine that had nothing to do with it, that were not even anywhere near it, thousands of miles away. This is how far the Democrat Communist Party goes down. They've gone down a real rabbit hole and accusing falsely citizens of this country. And like I said, there's plenty of those citizens in jail now as a result of what the people at Capitol Hill did, including Nancy Pelosi, the Pentagon, Chuck Schumer, and other leaders in the capital of Washington, D.C. Terrible. Now, I want to talk for a few minutes about illegal aliens. I got this graph here. Notice this graph. I'm going to enlarge it just a little bit so you can more clearly see what I want to show you here. Okay? Notice this. This graph of illegal aliens goes from October 2019 to August 2024. What does it show? The white areas. Illegal aliens expelled from the United States. Illegal aliens expelled from the United States. The black area. Southern border apprehensions. Southern border apprehensions. This other gray area. Other inadmissibles. Other aliens that were thrown out of this country once they were found, whether they were gotaways or whether they presented themselves at the border to Customs Border Protection. Inadmissibles. They were not allowed into this country. This red area, these are Chinese. These are Chinese and other illegal aliens inadmissible to the United States. This is what's gone on. This is what's gone on. Now these black graphs here, these black lines, look at the number of illegal aliens that have come into the United States. Now it's over 20 million. 20 million over the last 3 years. And the number is increasing every day. The number of illegals are increasing every day. This is not. I even have more information than this. I want to show you this because this is another bunch of information I've gathered here. Biden's border policy. Biden's border policies, plural. The Biden administration border policies have made U.S. more unsafe. San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond joined Fox and Friends to discuss why San Diego County has become the epicenter for the border crisis under the Biden administration and the broader safety implications from the illegal alien surge. More than 150 House Democrats voted against the bill this weekend. More than 150 House Democrats voted against the bill that would deport illegal immigrants convicted of sexual offenses or conspiracy to commit such a crime. The House Democrats, 150 voted against the bill, allowing these illegal immigrants committing sexual crimes and other offenses to stay here in this country. Because heaven forbid we get rid of these criminals. The Violence Against Women by Illegal Aliens Act passed by the House of Representatives along partisan lines this past Wednesday. All present Republicans voted for the bill, as did 51 Democrat lawmakers. The measure passed in the House 266 to 158, with 158 Democrats saying that they wanted to keep these illegal aliens here in this country for assaulting and killing our women, assaulting and raping our women. Now, among the Democrats who voted for the bill are Representatives Mary Peltola, Democrat from Alaska, Marie Gluesenkamp Perez, Democrat from Washington, Jared Moskowitz, Democrat from Florida, and Hillary Scholten, Democrat from Michigan. We need to hold these Democrat lawmakers responsible for their asinine conduct. We need to hold these Democrat communists responsible for their asinine conduct. They need to be voted out this election. We can no longer afford to have these people in our country, let alone even holding public office. These congresswomen and women need to go away. They need to be voted out and removed from our lawmakers' haven in Washington, D.C. Yes, I'm calling it a haven. The next thing I want to do is show you this. This is an accident that happened early this morning. Look where it happened. Springfield, Ohio. Springfield, Ohio. Does that ring a bell? Does that ring a bell? President Trump, J.D. Vance, and many other people have said, and there have been whistleblowers telling us that there were Haitians that were kidnapping or animal napping pets in Springfield, Ohio, and barbecuing them, eating them, our pets. Well, guess what? That's not the only thing that's happened. And yes, the Democrats are saying, oh, it didn't happen. It never happened. The Democrats are trying to debunk that it didn't happen. But guess what? It did. Watch this video and see what happens with this Haitian driving a car, number one, that has no plates, and he has no driver's license.
JLR investigates. Boots on the ground, Springfield, Ohio. So there was an accident here, and you got the Springfield police, and someone just got taken away in an ambulance. The picture is on the thumbnail. But what I find interesting is this car that got in an accident, the front car here there has no license plate whatsoever. Zero license plate. So it's going to be interesting to see what the cop does here. I want to see if the cop lets the car go without a license plate. So I'm going to cross over the street, and we're going to monitor this. Apparently, the person in the first car got whiplash and an ambulance came. But we're going to see what's going on here with this accident. We're going to see if the officer, in fact, tows the car, because the car has no license plate whatsoever. So we're just going to monitor this here in Springfield. So we're going to see, you can see the car in the back. No temp plate, no license plate, nothing. So this vehicle here, these two vehicles got in an accident, like just a rear end. But the person in the first car got sent to the hospital, but there's no license plate on this car. So I want to see if Springfield police let this car go without a license. There's no license. And there's no temp tags. There's nothing. So we're going to monitor this situation and see how it works.
Again, this is a Haitian.
No license plate on the car. No license plate. No license plate on the back. No license plate on the front. So here comes the officer. Now, the officer took down the information. We're going to see what happens here. This person does not have a license plate on their car. Now, that's illegal. You know that's illegal. He's free to go. Free to go.
He was free to go. Free to go. No license plate, no insurance, and no driver's license. What's wrong with this picture? What is wrong with this picture? Now, why am I showing it to you? Why do you think I'm showing it to you? Because, folks, guess what? It's happening frequently. The number of people involved in traffic accidents, in Springfield, Ohio, has tripled. I saw a police chief earlier today in another video saying that they have their hands tied because the Springfield City Council and the county in that area don't want to do anything with these Haitians. They don't want to do anything with these Haitians because the Democrat Party wants to keep these people in Ohio. Now, there's something else I ought to show you. Let me see if I have this picture here. I think I do. Yes, I do. Our government, our U.S. government, Washington, the Biden and Harris people have flown these people in from Haiti. First-class tickets in from Haiti. They've flown them into the interior parts of the United States, including Missouri, Ohio, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Chicago, and New York. Flown them in and dropped them off. Flown them into the airports, put them on buses, and dropped them off in these communities, these smaller communities. The police chief in Springfield told me that he did not have any backing politically to do anything with these people once he stops them. He or his officers stop them. The police and the sheriff have their hands tied. Incredible. Incredible. Because of Biden and Harris bringing these people in, taking them to the DMV, getting them licensed, and getting them registered to vote. That is the only reason these people have been brought in. This is the only reason these people have been brought into this country. To give the Democrat Communist Party more clout. And if that happens, if the Democrat Party wins this election, there probably won't be another legal election for the next 50 years. There probably won't be another legal election for at least 50 years. Until somebody has the huevos to stand up and tell the nation, we're not going to put up with it anymore. Canito Warrior says the Democrats in Massachusetts. Massachusetts is a hub for these Haitians. And is a hub for these other illegal aliens. Look what's happened in New York. Look what's happened in Chicago. These illegals are destroying the cities. They're destroying our country. What happened when these aliens were taken to the Naval Observatory in Maryland, where Kamala Harris is? She had them put back aboard a bus and taken away from where she lived. The bus dropped them off right outside the Naval Observatory, and the Secret Service said, "Oh, you can't be there." Because the Secret Service was protecting Kamala Harris as the Vice President of the United States at the time. It's a mess. It's a huge mess. They get VIP treatment on the airlines, bringing them in here to the interior of the United States. Haiti, as some of you know, is a third world country. The gangs run violently through the streets, executing anybody that gets in their way. Anybody that doesn't do what they want them to do, they execute them right then and there. What do you think they're going to do here in the United States? Some of these illegals have gotten weapons, and now they're committing whoredoms here in the United States. That's going to continue. That will continue. Now, even one of my former friends, I'm going to call her a former friend. She and I were very close a few years ago. She tried to call me out on Facebook, on my Facebook. Incredible what she's tried to do. Tried to call me out for what I believe in. As some of you that have been on my Facebook channel know, I tell it like it is. I always have and always will. I don't spill anybody's beans. However, I also don't put up with crap either. I just don't. I don't do it. Now, this woman, I will not give her name out, but she was a friend of mine. She was a friend. I thought she was a special person, but apparently she's not. She defied me. She defied me. I put up crime stats showing the crimes that have happened as a result of the Democrat Party here in this country. And she denied it happened. She denied it happened. She denied that the Democratic Communist Party had anything to do with it. And yet everything that I said stood up for that and showed everyone that read that particular meme that I put up. Everybody that read it knew it was true. But she didn't. She tried taking me to task over it. Tried to call me on the carpet, telling me I was a liar. That I was only believing what President Trump said. This was not about President Trump. This was about the Democrat communists that stood up, lying not just about Trump, but lying about what's going on in our country. Thinking that they just could get away with it. Thinking that whatever happens, it's just going to happen. And that's the way it is. The meme that I put up was called, "I Know Many of You Can Relate." It said, when I remember when women used to get dressed up to go shopping, my mother included. My mother and probably many of your mothers as well. I remember when gas stations had attendants and they washed your windshield, checked your oil, and checked the air in your tires while they pumped your gas. And you better not get out of the car and even think about touching their pumps. I remember when a good date was a trip to the drive-in, a bucket of popcorn and a couple of Cokes, and necking during the John Wayne Western. Now, I never necked during the John Wayne Western. I don't even think I went to a John Wayne Western at a drive-in. I remember when, if you wanted to know something, you wanted to check the facts or the history, you went to a library. I remember when all phones were wired to the wall, and to call anyone long distance required an operator. Also the 2, 4, and 8 party lines. I remember milk came delivered in glass bottles to your doorstep with a stopper in the top of the bottle. Delivered before sunrise even. I remember that when I was a child. Yes, it did happen. I remember when Americans got their news from the newspaper and reporters were honest and unbiased. I remember when shoes were made from leather and you had metal taps on the heel and or the toe. And you had those shoes half soled or new heels put on at a shoe shop before you ever bought a new pair of shoes. And most people, male and female, had 2 pairs. Folks, I wore a pair of police boots for years. Every year or so I had them resold. I had 1 pair of boots resold 3 times. I remember when I was a kid, you could not pass a phone booth without checking the coin return. I remember when girls wore skirts and used hair rollers and wore bobby socks and cryolanes. I remember when a hot car had a V8 engine and a 4-speed shifter on the floor. Most everyone knew how to drive a stick shift without a clutch or with a clutch. I remember when cigarettes were sold in vending machines for 35 cents a pack. I remember the 7-Elevens where I worked sold cigarettes for 25 cents a pack, and a 6-pack of beer cost $1.49. I remember when the television had 3 channels and it went off the air after Johnny Carson here in the United States, and they played the national anthem and displayed the American flag before signing off, and the same thing happened when they signed back on the air after about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I remember what it was like to be an American and be proud of the fact. I remember these things because I lived them at a time when this country was at its greatest. And for me now, all that has really changed is that I have gotten older. I am still an American, born and bred and proud of it. I remember when snowflakes fell from the sky and men and boys went to the barber for a haircut. When flat tops were cool and ducktails were held down with Vitalis. I remember penny loafers and Johnny B. Goods. I remember all of these things because I am an American. And I actually pity these fools of today with their generic sexuality and their fear of the boogeyman of intolerance. In my day, we grew up to be men and we learned to accept responsibility. We didn't whine and complain because if we did, we'd get nailed by our parents. We just did what had to be done or what needed to be done. We didn't ask for do-overs or trophies. We accepted the consequences and we are proud to earn our stripes. What happened to America? All I see today are crybabies, needing safe spaces, and for someone to tell them all bathrooms are okay for them to use. Music has gone from rock and roll to filthy rhyme, and no one seems to have the time to accomplish anything meaningful other than complaining. I remember when families sat at the table for dinner, for all their daily meals, and no one had cell phones to distract them from the family conversation. I remember women and girls dressed with a show of modesty without showing their imprint of what lies underneath. And men and boys didn't feel the need to show their butts covered with underwear. I remember when we could go to school or church, or anywhere for that matter, and not to have to worry about guns being used and drive-by shootings. I remember when we didn't have air conditioning in our homes or cars or schools and even stores. Sweating like sons of a guns in elementary school sitting at our desks. At that time, no one even locked their doors or their windows or their cars or their homes. Nobody bothered anything. because the majority of the people were honest. I remember so much that doesn't exist anymore, and I guess I will always long for those days. But I realize one thing. They can never be again. Yeah, I look back and I remember. I pity the fools of the present day. They wouldn't know the real America if they were to get them bit in the ear or the butt. They would not know the real America if it was to bite them in the butt. It's truly sickening when I hear about it, and I remember what this country used to be and what it is now. I was blasted by one friend of mine. The majority of everyone that wrote in comments after that meme here that I put up. One person says, I remember everything you said because I'm blessed that God let me live to see all this, and I'm now 75th year birthday a week ago. I remember those days when being American was special and something proud to be, something to be proud of. My Canadian friends here on this chat tonight, I know you remember these same days because I frequently traveled up to Canada with my friends when I was a teenager, in my early teens. I miss those days when being an American was so special and something to be proud of. My friend here says these migrants coming here can call themselves an American, but they will never know what it was really like to be an American and all the things that they missed. I will always be thankful to God for allowing me to grow up here in the United States of America. But that's not all of the friends that commented about this, what I put up here. I have a great many people that commented. A lot. A lot, guys. One of my friends tried to tear my butt up. Now, I read you that meme because I put it up here. One person said, yes, I remember being born in 1955 in small-town America. My mother-in-law was like June Cleaver. She cleaned the house in pearls and heels every day. Another woman said, my grandmas were great examples of being born in 1969. I remember when standards were higher than they are now. One of my friends from Santa, Utah. I am in my 80s. I remember all of the above. I also remember that back in my 20s, prophets warned us of things that we see today. It's a good idea to listen to them. Unfortunately, AI also told us what would happen in the near future, and we're seeing it happen now. We reap what we sow. One of my other good friends said, thanks, Ron, you brought back good memories. One of my other good friends here on our program and also on our Facebook Messenger groups said, I used to be one of those attendants when I was a teenager. One of my other good friends, Mary Lou Merritt, that many of you know from the chat here and on my Facebook group, says, so true. Robert Snyder says, good times. Now, the woman that I thought was a good friend told me this, quote, and you want a president who is a known womanizer with no moral values, who incited a riot on our beloved Capitol building, who labels people with derogatory names, and let's us not forget the targeting of Haitian immigrants when he inferred they were eating people's pets. I don't understand how we can have a moral society with an immoral leader. Sorry I had to go down here, Ron, but there is a reason. America has fallen. It is a total acceptance of what used to be unacceptable. I agree with that. But President Trump is not an immoral leader. Yes, he's not a saint either. President Trump is not a saint, but President Trump has done more for this country than any other leader, political or not. He's done more for this country than anyone's done since the inception of this country in 1776. I have 13 replies to this person that I used to accept as a friend. I answered her, targeting Haitian illegal immigrants? Really? What did he say? Something to the effect that these illegal immigrants are pet-napping our household pets, killing and eating them. It's a proven fact. My law enforcement sources have proven it in Missouri, Chicago, New York, and Colorado, probably other states as well. The mainstream media is covering it up. I'm not saying Trump is a saint. He has done more for this country than Biden or Harris have ever done in the 4 years they've been in office. Harris has lied about being at the border or doing anything about illegal immigration. In fact, they have been allowed over 20 million illegals into this country, promising each of those illegals $5,000 per month, free phones, and a place to live while throwing our veterans out on the streets. Illegal and homeless people destroying our cities and our country. All the reason for them to get Democrat politicians elected to office for the next 50 years, leading this country to be taken over. Leading this country to be taken over by the Communist Party of America. Is that what you want? I don't. Go find Ezra Taft Benson's speech from 1964. Actually, it was 1966. You can find that speech on YouTube. You can find that speech on YouTube. I put it in the program description of former programs. But all you have to do is look on YouTube for Ezra Taft Benson's speech, 1966, and you'll find it. He talked about Khrushchev, Russian Premier Khrushchev, coming to this country to visit then President Eisenhower. And Eisenhower asking then Agricultural Secretary Benson to show him farmlands of the United States. Benson didn't want to do that. But finally he acquiesced and said that Russia and their presidents and the prime minister should never be shown our agriculture here in the United States because we don't want them to see what we're doing. This woman went on to attack me. My reply to her, is it okay to want to be a president allowing Black Lives Matter to destroy our cities? Like we saw all over the United States, starting over in Seattle, Washington? Allowing women to have abortions up through 9 months, and if the abortion didn't work, to allow the baby to die alone on a cold metal table. All the while being drug-induced and possibly having their limbs torn off. Is that what you want? Unfriend me. Because that is not only illegal but immoral too. No, Trump is not a saint. But again, he's done more for the good of the United States than Biden or Harris ever did, or ever will do. Again, she went to work on me. And I posted that speech by Ezra Taft Benson. The speech is called Our Immediate Responsibility, October 25th, 1966. Kathleen went on to say, and I will only give you her first name. I probably should not have even done that. Canadian Patriot 1 says, he who is without sin casts first stone. I agree. This woman said BLM was a mess. I agree. Biden should have done something about Seattle. The abortion argument is a fabrication from Trump saying it could happen. It hasn't and it won't. I know it was. I know for a fact that it has happened. She says, name a state, a doctor that would allow it. She goes on to say it's a weak argument. and I am pro-life. Trump is no saint, that for sure. He's a convicted felon, and you can justify his actions because, ? I wrote back, no, it has happened. I've spoken with and seen testimonials from nurses and doctors around this country. The abortion argument is not a fabrication, it has happened. California, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Missouri, Ohio, Minnesota, Illinois, New York, and I can continue on. She wrote back, quote, conspiracy theory at its worst. You will believe anything. Really? I will believe anything? Bullcrap. One of my friends came to my back here. Kamala Harris does not have natural parents, so she does not qualify to be president. I want to show you what she said. I want to show you what she said. I'm going to show you right now. And then I'm going to show you another picture that I didn't put up here in the beginning, but I'm going to show you in just a minute. Senator Kamala Harris is not a natural-born citizen. To constitutional standards, since both her parents were not U.S. citizens when she was born. She fails the three-legged stool test. Born in the United States. Neither one of her parents were natural-born citizens. Were not U.S. citizens. 3 required legs of natural-born citizens of the United States to constitutional standards to protectliberty.org. By protectliberty.org. Now, as for the abortion, let me show you this next slide here. Everybody needs to see this. Okay? Please. I'm sorry this is too big a slide. Let me reduce the size of it so you can appreciate what I'm talking about. Now, folks, this is where it's at. If you doubt what I'm talking about, okay? If you doubt what I'm talking about, how late in the pregnancy is abortion allowed? Up here at the top. Fertilization to 6 weeks, 16 states, in the black. In the dark, lavender, 12 to 15 weeks after conception. 18 to 22 weeks, 5 more states. 24 weeks to viability. 24 weeks to viability, 19 states. 7 states, no limit. 7 states, no limit. Vermont, New Jersey, Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico, and D.C. Fertilization to 6 weeks. Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, Indiana, West Virginia, Arizona, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. Let's look at the darker violet, okay? The darker violet limits the abortions to 18 to 22 weeks. Utah, Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio, Kansas, California, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, New York, Massachusetts, Michigan, Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. Let's look at 24 weeks to viability. Viability is when the fetus could sustain life by itself. That is the lighter of the violet. 19 states. 19 states here in the U.S. consider killing a fetus. Killing the fetus, even up until after it's born. Letting it sit on a cold metal table and let it die. There is a nurse friend of mine who grabbed the child off the cold metal table and was not allowed by medical professionals there in the hospital to give it anything more than comfort, and that infant died in that nurse's arms. 24 weeks to viability. 7 states literally allow the murder of children. Vermont, New Jersey, Oregon, Colorado, New Mexico, and DC. You tell me what the problem is here. You tell me what the problem is here. We are allowing our infant children to die because of politics. Because of politics. Because of women with a passion for themselves. Women with a passion of just themselves. They don't care about anybody but themselves. Selfishness. Selfishness. The only time there should be an abortion is if the mother's health is at risk. The mother's life is at risk, or rape. Rape. Babies are ripped from the womb, allowed to die on a cold metal table alone by themselves. This should never be done. Sheila Dean said facts. I agree. These are facts. These are facts. My friend doesn't know what she's talking about. My friend doesn't know what she's talking about. Unfortunately, there are many people just like her. Just like her. Because they don't agree with me. They don't agree with you. They don't agree with God. They don't agree with God. This woman who I quoted here is a full-blown Christian that goes to church every Sunday and worships God. And yet she says that she's against abortion. But she allows these same politicians to say, oh, no problem, let them kill the babies. She told me, name a state, name a doctor that would allow it. I just got through showing you that here. I just got through showing it. 7 states allow it. Completely. Completely. I told her, no, it has happened. I have spoken with and seen testimonies from nurses and doctors. The abortion argument is not a fabrication. It has happened. Again, I named the states. She tells me conspiracy theory at its worst. You will believe anything. Really? I will believe anything? Bullcrap. Paul Colo, my son, is in the chat. Thank you, Paul, for being here. Rob52 says God will judge them. I agree. God will judge them. This woman says Kamala Harris does not have natural parents, so she doesn't qualify to be president. No, she doesn't. She should never be president. One of my friends that came up to support me on this says to this woman, if you wish to debate this, then Trump wins outright. Kamala does not qualify, so she cannot be checked out, so she can be checked out. And actually, what you are told by the media about Trump is not always true. They make stuff up. Because the media is controlled by a small percentage of people. You only get the truth that you want to hear, that they want you to hear. I told this woman, no, you're the one that chooses to believe the Communist Manifesto goodbye. And I unfriended her at that point in time. I unfriended her. One of our other friends that you occasionally see in this chat said, we didn't fall until Joey took the office. Get your head out of the sand. If you're voting otherwise, this will be on your hands again. Joey's getting ready to take us to war. I hope you're happy. All the sons and daughters and husbands and wives leaving right now. As far as conspiracy theories, we're up to 150 to 0 coming true. Then she posted a meme of ostriches with their head in the sand. Then I said this. The charges against Trump were concocted by the Democrat Communist Party to get rid of President Trump, to keep him out of the White House. Just look at Judge Juan Merchan's comments, or should I say jury instructions, before he released them to deliberate. He told them that they did not have to come to a unanimous decision to justify a conviction. This by itself was preposterous. Preposterous. I personally, Ron Tyler, I am an expert in the law and court procedure. I took a course in federal law. One of my professors in college was a federal court judge out of Montana. I'm not going to give you his name at this point in time. You can look that up on the internet. The New York judge, Juan Merchan, the state attorney general, and the district attorney were out to get Trump because Biden wanted to get rid of Trump. They frequently went to the White House and met with President Biden. Mr. Smith is said to be a special prosecutor that has gone after President Trump in the past. He has even filed another case against President Trump 2 or 3 weeks ago. Mr. Smith is not even a special prosecutor. Since when does someone appoint themselves to the office of special prosecutor? That, I believe, is supposed to be a congressional approved appointment. The person has to go before Congress and tell them why Congress should allow them to become a special prosecutor. Mr. Smith has no business being there. He is self-appointed. That means that anything that Mr. Smith does makes it illegal. That should never have happened. Prosecutor Smith does not have a standing. Not having a standing makes everything he does illegal. Any case he brings up should not out of hand be dismissed, or should be, any case that he brings up should out of hand be dismissed because Smith is a fraud. I told my friend that her case is also nothing more than mainstream media hype. Mainstream media hype. And like I said, I unfriended her. I said goodbye before I stopped before I stop your incessant rant on my comment here. You're out of line. Abortion was not a fabrication. You're out of line. I have proof of that. I show you the proof right here in front of you. Catherine Sigerson is in the chat now. She says, they expect us to watch a soap opera. I think soap operas started in the White House and moved to Hollywood. I totally agree. Everything right now coming out of the White House is fabricated. It's trash. It's trash. Now, do any of you have any questions for me? I know I've gone on longer than I should have. I came on tonight later than I wanted to, but I had some things that I had to do this afternoon with Carol, so I couldn't get on the air when I wanted to. I hope you'll forgive me for that. Folks, we have to stand up for what we believe in. Because if we don't, we have no stand either. Because Christ won't allow it. Christ won't allow it. I want to show you this picture. Friends may betray us, but Jesus never fails us. He even calls us his friends. The Father and Jesus are our best and only friends. They are our best and only friends. A couple other things I want to show you before we get out of here. Also, something else happened Friday night into Saturday that I forgot to mention. Before I continue on with my devotional, there was a shooting in Birmingham, Alabama. 8 people died and others were injured. It was a mass shooting Friday night. Well, guess what? The police are saying that the Alabama mass shooting may have been sparked by a murder-for-hire plot. A murder-for-hire plot. Isn't that interesting? That some people hired someone else to kill them. That is also a vile act. A vile act that is not supported by God or anyone else. It's not supported by God or anybody else. It's a crime. It's a crime. It should not ever be allowed. And the person that did it belongs behind bars. Belongs behind bars. Now, I've been saying this for a lot of years now. Many of you that have been with me nearly 6 years can always hear me saying, don't stop praying. Don't stop praying. Prayer is a heart's sincere desire. Prayer will always help us. Prayer is our way to communicate with our Father in heaven and His Son, Jesus Christ. I've had my prayers answered quite a lot, frequently. Quite frequently. Whenever you're down, pray. Pray when you're happy. Pray when you need help. Pray when you want answers that nobody else can give you. Because God will let you do that. Carol says, Ron, just want you to know I have appreciated all of your time and info over the years. Blessings to you and your family. Thank you so much. But prayer can go a long way. Arlen Smith says only God and Jesus can forgive sin. All we can do is say, I'm sorry for what I did to you. That's right. And we can take it one more step. We can take it one more step. Not only saying sorry, but making amends for our actions. Making amends for our actions. Not just saying sorry, but going to those people and make sure that what we've done is taken care of, is fixed. Is fixed. We cannot allow our actions to go on throughout our lives. We have to make sure that we repent. And then never ever do those actions again. Not now, not ever. Brothers and sisters, I know that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, our Savior and our Redeemer, our King. God hears and answers our prayers. He is in heaven. He is in charge. Even though what I've told you tonight is bad, God is in charge. It's up to us to change our nations. I didn't just say the United States of America. I'm talking about Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Canada, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Brazil, Venezuela, Japan, Australia, Indonesia, New Zealand, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, China and Russia, and all the other cities, states, and nations around the world. We need to each take responsibility for where we live and make sure we still fight the good fight, to make sure we get change in our countries, in our cities, in our states, in our lands. We need to do that. We need to keep in mind of our families and make sure we're teaching them correct principles so they can be guided themselves. Teach our children, our grandchildren, and others correct principles so they can guide themselves. That was Christ's philosophy, and we need to keep it. We need to do that. Juby Joe says she always wanted a family more than anything. She could imagine it didn't happen here on earth, and realize I wholeheartedly wanted what was impossible. Juby Joe, you may get that chance in heaven. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But I guarantee you that the Lord loves you. The Lord loves you. And He's going to make sure you have the desires of your heart. The Lord loves you. Don't stop praying. Don't stop praying. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I love you more than anything. I ask for the Lord's sincerest blessings to be upon you, to be upon your children and others. Ask for blessings and they will be given to you. I know that for a fact. Ask for sincere blessings. If you pray with real intent, having faith in God, He will reveal the truth of it unto you through the power of the Holy Ghost. He will bless your lives. I know that for a fact. I've said that many times. Brothers and sisters, may God be with you this day and always. As I said, I love you. And I know that God loves you. We haven't come these long miles in time for nothing. It is to feed our souls. I know that. May God bless you this day and always. God bless those people that didn't make it here tonight. I know some people here that are mods here that didn't make it. Don Patoka. Don buried his wife a few months back, and he's having health issues. God bless him and his family. Joe DeVito says he was adopted and just buried his mom, who is 99. Joe, I'm sorry for your loss. God bless you. God bless each of us. Canadian Patriots, one kind of got chuckled here, saying he needs a great fishing hole and he'll be happy. You've got a great family, Dave. I love you and appreciate you, and I appreciate them as well. You've got a great wife and kids who love and appreciate you a lot. God bless you. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you later. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be back here to talk about it as soon as the information becomes available. At the very least, we will be back here sometime after 6 p.m. tomorrow night. Be with us, guys. We want you here. We ask for you to be here. We love you. Have a good night, guys. We care about you. Bring everybody with you as well. Tell your friends and neighbors, the people you are with in social media. Tell the people you work with. Tell your friends. Tell your family, your extended family, about this program. They need to hear it as well. Please give us a thumbs up and also leave comments about this program after we get off the air, just below this video. Again, our address, our email address, and our physical address here in Morganton, and our PayPal locations are in the program description right beneath this program today, right beneath the video. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a great night, guys. We love you. Take care. Much love.